want to thank everybody who's been with me, my Xbox clan.
When Kobe going back to play Madison Square Garden, and he's like, hey, hook me up with dinner with Heath Ledger.
Like Russell Westbrook, that was a great feat the other day. I couldn't even tweet it out.
It's Coach Frank Vogel here, full of enthusiasm and positive energy.
Well, first of all, you don't smoke peyote.
And there was a couple games where I was at a hookah lounge. That's the truth. I wasn't smoking hookah, but I was there.
There was a time when the Israelites were wandering in the desert and all of a sudden bread came down from heaven. That's kind of what today feels like to have KCP join.
Welcome back to Bulls vs. Blazers. You can find us as always on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, anywhere else you can find podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review, subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/BullsVBlazers. You can get an extra episode most weeks for $3 a month, or a custom NFT of any episode of your choice for $150,000 a month. Shout out to the family. I'm Sean Highkin. With me, as always, Erik Gundersen. What is good?
That NFT deal is still, I feel like there's no better deal on an NFT.
There really is
in the world.
You could get any of the previous episodes. The Space Jam episode we just did with Kelsey, you could get that as an NFT. The one where I revealed that I had been to a David Guetta concert live on the air, that one you could get as an NFT if you wanted to. The one where I found the clip of the woman asking Dame if he can hit a 37-footer over racism, that one you could get as an NFT if you want. $150,000. And I mean, I know that we've kind of stopped doing Top Shot Corner. The market has crashed a little bit on that. But every NBA team, it seems like, is launching their own NFT. And the Blazers have a crypto company as their jersey patch sponsor now. So it feels like the market's on the upswing a little bit if you want to get in on the Bulls vs. Blazers NFT. $150,000. That's not that much to ask.
It's a buy low opportunity right now.
It could be worth millions. It could be worth well over $150,000. At some point, once David Guetta has developed the booster vaccine for the Delta variant, the value on the episode where I went to the David Guetta concert is only going to go up.
Well, and in the words of our forefathers, Portugal the Man, can you put a price on the new rock and roll, which is what cryptocurrency is? It's the new rock and roll.
It is. Many are saying this.
Can you put a price on the new rock and roll? That's the question.
Oh man. I don't know. We haven't done one of these in a minute. The last time we did one, the finals hadn't even. I mean, there's so much to go through. The finals haven't even. The finals are over now. Turns out that Team USA is melting down. The draft is this week. There's so much going on.
We can exhale and just take a look out at what's all happening around us in the basketball world, and I think the number one thing on everyone's mind after obviously the Bucks winning the championship, which everyone has talked about, and we called this. Those of you who listened to the last episode, the Patreon that we had, we were already on Bucks in 6. We felt like it was going to happen, but now everyone's pivoted to the Olympics and Team USA and how sad that they've looked. And to me, it all feels, at least for Team USA, as far as they're concerned, it's a real Olympics for everybody else. But I feel like the fake season the fake season has just not ended.
I mean, it's a fake Olympics as well. I mean, it's a fake Olympics anyway. I'll be honest. I have not watched a second of it. I haven't watched I didn't watch the opening ceremonies. I haven't watched any of the basketball. I haven't watched any of it's just, it's all on at weird times. I'm not trying to get up at 4 a.m. to watch stuff or whatever. But the idea of, and I didn't watch it, but the idea of the opening ceremony with no fans. It's a fake Olympics. And I mean, the Olympics are problematic for other reasons, but it's still something I enjoy watching most years. I just have no interest this year. And then, from the Team USA perspective, Devin Booker, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday literally just got to Tokyo now. And so it's just, the whole thing is just a mess, and it's just, I mean, the season of bad vibes is kind of continuing.
It is. The season of bad vibes, it has not ended. The season of bad vibes never stops. And the problem, one of the many problems, I think, too, that affects Team USA more than I think affects any other team is that you and I, obviously, we're proponents of keeping our third eye open.
Oh,
free agency starts now.
Yeah,
free agency is already happening.
Literally this weekend. By the time this, like, we're recording it on a Monday night, I'm probably going to edit it tonight and put it up. So most people will probably be listening to it on a Tuesday. There will be 2 days before the draft and 4 days until free agencies, and all the while the Olympics are still going on for like another week after that.
And real talk, we know this, and anybody who follows the NBA knows this, that free agency happens now. Everything that we hear about in a week is happening right now. And you don't, and with Team USA, with star players, where, especially with Kevin Durant, and then you also have Damian Lillard, and you have a lot of guys who have a lot of say in their teams and how their rosters get built. I just don't think that playing Iran tomorrow, is at the top of their priority list, because why would it be? Their work life is being determined right now. Their daily life when they get back to America is being determined right now. And to me, that's something that I don't think we really understood going in, but because of the stature of everybody on Team USA and the fact that how much say a lot of those guys have, I think that has an effect on all of these guys, and a detrimental effect, I think, on their outlook for winning the gold medal, because that's not their priority right now, because they have bigger things to deal with.
And even, one of the guys that was on Team USA who's been in the news lately because he may or may not be about to request a trade is Bradley Beal, and he's not even in Tokyo because he got COVID. Like, the bad vibes are just continuing. This has been, I don't know if I've debuted this on the pod yet, but S.B.V is the season of bad vibes. That's what this season has been, and it continues into the Olympics. And my hope is that once the new month starts and we get to free agency, everything just kind of flips over, because we're actually going to get a summer league this year, so we're going to get to see some of the rookies. And I'm hopeful that we kind of get to reset and turn over a new leaf once, the Olympics is over and like summer league starts, and, we can actually start to look ahead to next year, and hopefully, things start to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely hope that there will be some kind of turning point in terms of the vibe shifting, but it does feel it doesn't feel very good right now for Team USA, and France obviously deserves a lot of credit, because they won, they've played together. Rudy Gobert is there, Nando De Colo got hot, Evan Fournier is probably going to sign a new deal with Celtics.
They have some players. They have some, I don't know if they have some hoopers, but they definitely have some basketball players.
True. Exactly. Well, whether they have hoopers is up for debate. But one dude who I don't think we could debate whether he's a hooper or a basketball player, Luka Doncic is a hooper. That dude is. That was.
Does he have a bat? Does he have a garment that you can put stuff in that you carry around with you?
I think he can get his shot off at the Drew League. And he scored 48 points in a 40-minute game, and we're gonna take a Gambling Corner did great in the finals.
Yeah, this is like kind of the main thing for the Olympics. I'm not really watching it, but Eric's Gambling Corner has been kind of on a run here. So I think you need to let the people know what the Gambling Corner's thinking and just kind of where you're at.
Well, the Gambling Corner was very in. So one of the foundational stories of my basketball love, I'm just gonna share here with our listeners here, was the Tournament of the Americas in 1992. My family was there, which is now known as the FIBA Americas tournament. And so I have a love for the international game that is just it's very deep. And so with that said, I was watching a lot of the qualifiers for the teams to get in for those final spots. I think there's only 4 spots left, and Slovenia was just dominating teams and winning by a lot of points. And I like them. They won again against Argentina, and I just think that Luka and Dragic. They have Vlatko Konkar as well from the Nuggets, and they play really well together. And I just don't know if anybody can really stop Luka. I like and also I think another thing that we don't talk about, or that people haven't talked about, is that he hasn't stopped playing since the playoffs ended. So Luka might be in the best shape that he's ever been
in terms of being fresh and all that.
No, and in terms of being like his weight, like I think he's moving better on the court because he's playing so much hoop right now that he is just in phenomenal shape. And to me, he looks like he's stronger, he's quicker, he was just doing everything he wanted on the court. And I just think that he's reaching another level right now. I watched the game against Argentina, and Argentina, they have some issues. They're just not maybe as good of a team as they were a couple years ago. But Luka, he looks like he's on a different level right now. I just don't see. I mean, truth be told, I did not watch the USA game, but I mean, nothing that they did in the exhibition games felt like they were very impressive.
I'm going to read you a quote that I had in a story that I wrote about a year ago about the impact of the 2010 U.S. national team on the current NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a quote that I got from Jerry Colangelo, who is the current outgoing president of USA Basketball. I talked to him about that team, but I talked to him really just kind of about these tournaments in general. And this quote from, about a team from 11 years ago that I got from him, a year and a half ago before COVID is pretty prophetic now. He says, "You never take anything for granted in international play. Players who are coming off the bench in the NBA go back to their home countries and they're MVPs. It's a different game. They feel 1,000% more confident playing in those kinds of surroundings rather than playing on an NBA roster. So you don't take it for granted. All-star teams can get beat."
Wow. All-star teams can get beat. That's a bar. And exactly what we're dealing with.
I mean, the USA, idea. I mean, another thing that he said that I thought was kind of interesting was that the Olympics is the most important basketball, international basketball tournament for the U.S., but the FIBA tournament is way more important for the other countries than the Olympics is. And so, but they all have kind of this continuity, whereas as the U.S.'s approach just kind of has just been, let's just get the biggest names that'll say yes, and that's how you kind of end up with this. And I realize that right now, Bradley Beal is out because of COVID, and like David Guetta replaced one of the assistant coaches that wasn't able to come over, and there's all this kind of stuff.
LeBron had Space Jam.
Yeah, LeBron decided to play for the Toon Squad instead, and whatever else is going on as far as extenuating circumstances. But I kind of feel like, and I've seen other people say this, and I kind of agree with it, they kind of need to make it so that maybe the stars all play in the FIBA tournament, and then the Olympics can be for 23 and under or 24 and under. So that way, the entire Olympic team could be John Morant and Zion Williamson and Trae Young, and kind of these up and coming guys who are going to play hard because it's the first time they've ever, had this experience, and they get to kind of make a name for themselves, and they can kind of grow with the program, as opposed to we're just going to see which, big, all-star guys actually say yes. And then you have Dame when he's 31, and then you have Draymond who's older than that. And it's so disjointed right now.
Well, and then they don't even do like, and there's not even certain things where guys who did put in the time and always said yes, or, always have like, like, you can't tell me that not having Carmelo Anthony on this team just as a vibes person.
I was just going to say, I think they need to fly Melo to Tokyo just to, even if he's not going to play that much, just have him on the team for the vibes.
Yeah. They have the one thing that I feel like every other country has is they have that sense of continuity, and even if it's not someone who's going to be like a super key player, they at least have some kind of holdovers from
Pau is on the Spanish
past.
team.
Yeah.
Luis Scola is on Argentina, and he's 40.
Yeah. And that's also kind of a byproduct of like, I mean, I don't know with Pau, but at least with Scola, I don't know if there's anybody better than Scola, at least in terms of Argentina is concerned. But there's no team vibe with the USA team. It's just like it's USA basketball, and there's no like continuation or sense of continuity. And I get that Durant was on the Rio team, but there is no sense of this continuity, that it's like there's no identity around the team, around it being built around Kevin Durant. Like there's no sense like this is KD's team.
He's just the biggest name that said yes.
Exactly. But he's not putting his stamp on this group. No one's like, wow, well, we got to watch out. This is going to be KD's show. No one says that. Like, and so, yeah. And I think also too, a lot of people are saying this now, but maybe Greg Popovich isn't the dude for this.
We are seeing there's a lot of this. I saw some take from somebody, like I saw a clip of the Mad Dog, Chris Russo. He was just kind of going on this rant about how Greg Popovich is a disgrace to USA basketball, and he's washed up and he's overrated. And I respected the take immensely. I saw a column from somebody, I forget who, but I saw a column from somebody also that said, like, in Greg Popovich's last public act of his career, he could be failing. He could be making a mockery of his career.
Okay, well,
I respect the take.
Yes, I respect the take-attitude as a takesman, but I also like he's not disrespecting his entire career, but he's definitely. I think one thing I will say about Pop, and I'll say this about Coach K. And I think this is maybe a lesson for Team USA, is I do think there is something to the fact of having a college coach the pros, because they don't give a shit about whether the pros are like, at least with Coach K, I can't say this for every college coach, but at least with Coach K, who like was never going to go anywhere else other than being the head coach of Duke, and never wanted anything more. He didn't have any incentive to kiss these dudes' ass and do everything that they want. And whereas Pop, I think, has this in the back of his mind that he wants to be nice to all these guys, because who knows, maybe one day one of them will want to play for the San Antonio Spurs.
So you're thinking maybe that, once Pop retires, maybe the next USA coach should be like Jay Wright or something?
I think so. I don't think Steve Kerr is going to be the right guy for this. Like, I really don't think so. I think, and maybe he's going to want to do it, but I really do think it's going to be more like a Jay Wright should be the type of guy who is the next head coach, or because I think someone that doesn't have NBA aspirations.
Right, because Jay Wright is a guy who consistently, like, every year he gets kind of named as one of these, like, he could be on the name for any of these NBA jobs, and then every year, like, I feel like every year around, like, April or May when the head coaching jobs start opening up, I always see, like, the quote graphic of the Jay Wright statement saying, I have no intention of ever leaving Villanova. I am keeping this job for, like, I feel like every year he puts that statement out.
Yeah, exactly. He's actively saying, I don't want to go to the NBA. And I think he's the type of guy that you're going to need to coach these guys because one of the things that I felt like set the Americans apart in these international competitions is that we never see guys like LeBron and KD full court press, but in the Olympics, Coach K would have them full court press for like 5 minutes, and then they go on like a 20-0 run, and the game is over. And like those were the type of things that Coach K could get away with because he didn't. If you're no NBA coach is going to coach a full court press, but a college coach might get NBA guys to do that. And I think Pop he's a great coach, but I don't think he's the right coach for this situation. And I think they had something right having a college coach coaching the pros for USA basketball. There's so many things happening. There was a huge trade today.
Major trade, which I like a lot more for Memphis now because Eric Bledsoe isn't going to actually be on the team, apparently, according to Chris Haynes.
Yeah, it was a cap casualty.
That would have just been such a vibes downgrade.
It would have been, and they've been, Memphis has actually done a really good job over the past couple of years using these like disgruntled vet situations to get to leverage those and use those as opportunities to get extra picks.
Right.
With the Iguodala situation, they held on to Iguodala to get the pick for Golden State, and then they eventually held on to get Justice Winslow, which it didn't work out, but they at least held on to get another another bite of the apple with a talented player, and now they're doing that again by getting the 10th pick. They got a Lakers pick, and there's also some there was some reporting out there that I saw that maybe they'll use the 10th pick and shop that around to try and move up again.
So here's the vision. You suggested this to me today, and I have fleshed the vision out a little bit more as far as just how it's going to play out. So Eric Bledsoe, according to Chris Haynes, is not going to be on the Memphis Grizzlies roster, even though he was in the trade.
Mm-hmm.
And that means he's either going to get bought out or flipped or something. The Lakers have been in these rumors about signing, whether it's or maybe they're going to sign all like 7 of the good free agents that are going to be out there. Maybe they're going to get Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook and Kyle Lowry, and then they'll just be set at point guard, even though they actually can't do that. Maybe they will. Like, according to all these rumors, there's a lot of different sources, grifters out there who are saying different things about what the Lakers may or may not be doing. But they're going to be in the mix for, the big names like the Chris Pauls and the Kyle Lowrys, and now Russ is sort of in the mix too. If they don't get any of those 3 guys, and I feel like, Russ, I don't know if they have the money to make Russ work. I think, Lowry's going to have other suitors who can offer more money. I think Chris Paul's probably going to re-sign in Phoenix for more money. Eric Bledsoe is a member of the Clutch Mafia. People don't know this, but when he was at the hair salon where he tweeted out, "I don't want to be here," when he was in Phoenix, what was playing on the speaker system at the hair salon? People don't, I might be breaking some news here, but he was listening to Adele at the time. Just foreshadowing all of this.
Wow.
And so I think he's going to end up on the Lakers, and we're going to have a whole summer of, Lakers fans and like Lakers adjacent media talking themselves into, is Eric Bledsoe going to have a bounce back season after the way the last went in New Orleans and Milwaukee?
Well, and I have another, I think that lends even more credence to this theory about him is that when Rich Paul was at the game with Adele, it was a Phoenix Suns game.
Ooh.
And when he signed his first big deal, Eric Bledsoe, he signed it with the Phoenix Suns, and then he was, of course, traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. So I'm just saying, keep your third eye open.
It could be. I mean, there was a Clutch Points graphic the other day that I sent to Big Corbs because I know this really aligns with his vision, but it was a picture of Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday. And it said, leave New Orleans, immediately win a ring.
I mean,
so if Eric Bledsoe goes to the Lakers, who's to say they're not gonna go back to the finals and go back and win another title? Now that LeBron will have kind of this longer off season because they lost in the first round. I actually have a new theory, and this is kind of a third eye open theory. I don't know if it's like a theory as much as just a prediction for maybe how the rest of LeBron's career goes. Just given his age, given the injuries are like starting to catch up to him now, given like Anthony Davis also being sort of injury prone. What if it's just for the rest of LeBron's career going to alternate? They're going to have a year where they either don't make the playoffs or get eliminated in the first round. And then the next year they win the title. They make this deep run. And then the following year, like they, either miss the playoffs or like lose in the first round and don't have a long run. LeBron gets another whole off season to rest. And then they win the title again the next year. Like I could see that being the case for the next like 3 or 4 years. Like maybe, they lost in the first round. They win the title next year. Then they lose in the first round again or miss the playoffs in like 2023 because of like injuries or whatever. And then the year after that, they win the title.
I could definitely see that. I mean, that is kind of the rhythm that he's been on for a minute, ever since his last trip to it's if we're following it since 2018, he went there to the finals 8 straight years. Then he missed the playoffs. Then they go back, win the championship. Then they get eliminated the first round. So if you're, in terms of, I think,
is Eric's gambling corner going to pick the Lakers to win the title this year?
I think it's a smart call. I mean, I think it's a better call this season than it was last season. I think I was pretty low on the Lakers winning the championship. I wasn't sure who would. I think I was pretty high on the Nets for most of the season, and I think the Nets are still the favorite. That I think is, but the Lakers have to be at least the second favorite. And if I had to pick right now, without seeing any roster moves, I would say barring them signing, I think the Westbrook thing would be so terrible.
I mean, it would be good content.
Exactly. I would feel terrible for Lakers fans, but it would be tremendous content.
This is very true.
That would be the paradigm that we would be living under. It would be the Lakers would be. I mean, they would obviously, because the Lakers are on television no matter what, so that doesn't really matter regardless of who is the point guard. But oh my God, I mean, there might not be a worse fit basketball wise for a team with LeBron James in 2021 than Russell Westbrook being the starting point guard.
Do you think those two would get along, like as teammates? Like, I don't know what their relationship is. Like, I'm sure they're probably fine, on a personal level. But like, that's going to be interesting because I could totally see like Russ being mad that LeBron is like taking games off, and because I mean, given like kind of how he reacted to some of the Harden stuff and whatever else. I mean,
he has way more juice than Cleveland Dwayne Wade did, but I feel like it would be a little bit like Cleveland Dwayne Wade and LeBron, where it was like it didn't really work. Like it just like they had some moments where it was like, damn, this is cool, but then it was mostly like a lot of cringe and a lot of like, this isn't very fun. And eventually Dwayne Wade got traded back to Miami. And that's what I would be afraid of. As much fun as it could be, I feel like ultimately it would just become a situation where it wouldn't be fun for anyone. And then they'd be looking to trade Russ at midseason to somewhere sad. Like, because I mean, or worse, he gets released or something.
I mean, I don't think he's going to get... although I guess Blake Griffin did get bought out with a ton of money left on his deal, but I don't know. I kind of think the Lakers are going to... there's going to be all these rumors about them getting these big names, and they're going to end up with Bledsoe, and people are going to try to talk themselves into it, and it's going to be disappointing.
Well, the DeRozan rumor for them, if they can get DeRozan,
I could see DeRozan taking the mid-level to do it, though, is the thing.
Yeah, but that is a good deal for them because he's first of all, I think he's not as good of a he's not a great shooter either, but he has more size. I think he can. I just think he's probably a little bit of a better fit, and can help you plug some different holes, and let LeBron still be the guy who runs the show, and be the best at that. Whereas, if you have Westbrook, I feel like, I think DeMar could find a way to be a little bit more impactful off the ball than Russ could. Not to say that Russ doesn't know how to do that, but I think DeMar at whatever the minimum is better than them trading Schroeder and a bunch of other stuff for Westbrook.
So we have some dark forces at play here. I mean, we know that, David Guetta has been making the rounds. He's been trying to get everybody vaccinated. He's doing a lot of good work. There have been forces working against everything that David Guetta is trying to work for. And what I am talking about is a statement, I'm reading this from Rolling Stone, is a statement from Eric Clapton, which he shared through the Telegram account of film producer and architect Robin Minotti, who has been skeptical of the COVID-19 vaccine and expressed other doubts about the UK government's response to the pandemic. So I guess Eric Clapton sent this to this dude to post on Telegram. It says, following the Prime Minister's announcement on Monday, the 19th of July, I feel honor-bound to make an announcement of my own. I wish to say that I will not perform on any stage where there is a discriminated audience present. Unless there is a provision made for all people to attend, I reserve the right to cancel the show. The message was accompanied by a link to Eric Clapton's anti-lockdown song with Van Morrison, Stand and Deliver.
We've been joking about the Van Morrison and Eric Clapton concert on here for a while, but now it's actually causing people to die.
The NFL is they're trying the NFL situation right now is crazy because you got Cole Beasley and DeAndre Hopkins. They're at the party. They've got the aux cord at these press conferences. They're the NFL is trying to get everybody to play the playlist that has the David Guetta George Floyd remix on it. That's what they're trying to get everybody to listen to. Right. But these NFL players just keep stealing the aux cord to put on the Eric Clapton Van Morrison song Stand and Deliver.
It's a shame, and it's one of the unfortunately one of the most important power struggles in the country right now. It is these NFL players against the NFL's mandate to have the vaccine because they don't want to lose money having to reschedule games and move games that were supposed to be played on a Sunday to a Wednesday and all the kinds of stuff that they had to do last year to make sure that games got played. They don't want to do that stuff again. And Michael Irvin has become a little bit of an American hero, telling Americans that they don't want to win it, or telling people that if they don't get the vaccine that they don't want to win badly enough.
That might be the best argument to make.
But it is quite simply the best argument I've heard for people getting the vaccine.
Do you want to hear the Van Morrison and Eric Clapton song? By the way, I've never heard it. I kind of feel like we should premiere it on the show.
I think we should. I mean, as the guys who shout out the family, I feel like we have to show the other side of what not shouting out the family means.
This is called Stand and Deliver. I just found it on YouTube.
Shout out to Jaime Escalante.
Okay.
All right.
Stand and deliver. You let them put the fear on you. Stand and deliver. Not a word you heard is true. But if there's nothing you can say, there may be nothing you can do. Do you want to be a free man? Or do you want to be a slave? Do you want to be a free man? Or do you want to be a slave?
Wow.
Do you want to wear these chains until you're lying in the grave?
Okay, I think that's enough of that.
Wow. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, dog. Wow. No.
The David Guetta George Floyd song is way better than that as a song and as a vibe.
Yeah, as a staff, as a record label, and as a motherfucking crew. Oh my god, that is so bad.
It's terrible.
Oh my god. So to change the vibes, I think I do want to touch on before, we've talked about the Olympics, but I do want to touch on Giannis.
Yeah.
Just the collective joy that I think we've all gotten from him winning the championship and all of the content that has come out of him at Chick-fil-A, him at the parade, standing on a Jeep, the video edits of like the when he went into the Bradley Center looking at the rafters with his parents.
Like saying like my jersey's gonna be up there one day,
dude. That shit was like it's so good, man. And like, we spent a lot of time at the top talking about the fake season and shit, and that's fucking tight, and that's real, and that's like, as much as the season really did suck for a lot of it, and a lot of the playoffs that you and I both were like, yo, I'm ready for this shit to be over. It was so tight for it to end the way that it did, and I don't think, and I want to acknowledge that, before we get too lost in free agency and the draft and all that shit, is all this crap that the past two seasons really laid upon everybody. And for it to have like a really dope ending was pretty cool. And I don't think that NBA could have asked for a better way for everything to end.
He dropped 50 in a closeout game.
Yeah.
2 weeks after he was supposed, like, it looked like he might have like a torn ACL.
Nobody does that. Nobody in the modern era. Like, I was listening to Simmons and he was referencing Bob fucking Pettit. Like,
yeah,
no one does this. It like what Giannis...
Was Bob Pettit, by the way, a hooper or a basketball player?
I mean, I feel like if you drop 50 in a closeout game, you're a hooper. Or you're a basketball player. It can go either way. It's all in the eye of the hooper holder.
I mean, you did send me like the day after the finals ended. You texted me a picture of that leather knapsack that you have that you bought in Greece.
That's true.
And you said that this makes you the finals MVP because you have a bag. And
it's a Greek bag.
It's true.
And Giannis is the MVP.
Speaking of like funny Giannis content, my favorite Giannis like funny video is this one.
She gave me everything. And I give it. And finish it. Does your sisters watch my live?
I have no idea. I just
or your mom?
Kayla, but she
Yeah, she bought me this too.
Yeah. No, Maya bought that.
No.
She gave me the idea.
No. So she bought me this too.
Stop putting it was little kids on there.
So, guys, the freak.
Stop.
He could be a freak on the court and on the shit. You know what I'm saying?
So you're embarrassing yourself.
Woo!
You know the one I'm talking about?
This is the blowjob. This is the blowjob
Yes,
bell,
it is.
right? Oh my god.
I'm a freak on the court and on the sheets.
There's also the legendary. I do love the video when he's in. I think he's in the car and he's listening and he starts playing WAP.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that one.
There's a video where he starts playing WAP and then like his girlfriend is like, hey, you have kids following you. You can't put this on. And he goes, why? I can't be Greek freak? Like, he goes, I can't even be freak. And I was like, I was like, God damn it, Giannis. He's so funny. And
he's so pure.
I was watching the lives with him and his brother.
Yeah.
After they won the championship, because I felt bad for that. Was one of the things that during we talked about it a little bit after Game 5, but it was still like weird. Like I can't imagine how that felt, but I'm glad they were able to wait a day, that he was able to get out of quarantine and be able to
be in the parade,
and all that. That was cool. And I didn't watch the game, but I can't believe, dude, that those dudes are playing. That Drew and I know that they're in game shape, but like,
oh, the USA game, you mean?
Yeah, but Drew and Book and Chris Middleton, like, I can't believe that those dudes are playing. Like, with how, like, especially what the Bucks had to do to win that series, like Drew covering Chris Paul basically the entire full court, and what they had to do defensively to guard, to cut CP off and cut the shooters off, and basically still have everyone still guard Book one-on-one. Like, it took a lot energy wise for the Bucks to do what they did defensively. And like, it's still like, I know that basketball never stops and all that, but it's like, I can't believe that they're just over there. And after exerting the energy that they had to win 4 straight games the way they did.
Yeah. And it's kind of the inverse of the conference finals against Toronto 2 years ago, where they win the first 2 games. It looks like they're just going to roll through this series and they're going to go to the finals because they had the 1 seed. And then they just lose the next 4. And there was a couple that were close. And then, but for the most part, they just kind of, Toronto just took control the rest of the way. The kind of the opposite happened with this. It looked like after the first 2 games, it looked like Phoenix was just better than them and that they were going to win. And then Milwaukee just was like, nope. They made the adjustments, and for as much criticism as Bud has gotten, I think he actually did a good job in the finals.
He did. Yeah, I mean, the fact that they were able to say, Drew, like, if you get screened, like, fight through it, and also too, when Chris Paul would do the thing where he would point at a guy to come set the screen, the Bucks would see what he was doing, and they'd be like, okay, well, we're gonna pre-switch. And they would figure out the switch and the matchup before the action came, so that Drew wouldn't have to switch, or so that if Brook Lopez was on the floor, so that he wouldn't have to get switched on to Chris Paul as often. And they were just able to avoid some of those more precarious situations for their defense. And I think, yes, Bud definitely deserves credit. And he managed a way to get Brook Lopez on the court, but also keep Giannis at the 5, close with Giannis at the 5, use Bobby Portis, use Pat Connaughton. I think really well.
By the way, the Bobby Portis finals experience was just, I think that was the happiest that I've been watching any basketball thing for a long time.
Yes, that was super
and his post-game
cool.
interview. Oh my, like the interview he had on NBA TV, where it was him and Pat Connaughton together, and Bobby was just, he had the bottle and he was just like drinking champagne out of the bottle, and like him and Pat just kind of look at each other and shrug when.
Oh, shout out to Kristen Ledlow for asking that question. She was like, "So how sober are you guys?" Or it's like,
and they just look at each other like,
It was so good. They were like, "Yeah, we're not sober at all." But it was, and those guys. I mean, I shouted them out a little bit after that Game 5 pod because they both, I thought, were big in that second quarter of Game 5, and then they both were so big. Like, I mean, Connaughton hitting those threes, getting both of them rebounding well at their positions, and I gotta say, the Bucks winning at a redemption for rebounding, man. Like, everybody has to rebound their position, and I think that one of the things that the Warriors did really well that we didn't really give them a lot of credit for, they got beat on the offensive glass a lot, but for the most part they were able to minimize whatever their rebounding misses were. But where the Bucks were able to win is they weren't the greatest shooting team, but they rebounded really well at every position. They boxed out, they attacked the ball when it was in the air, and they didn't just say, we didn't make our jumpers, we're fine. And I think, I mean, the Lakers, they had the two best players in the playoffs last season, and I think everyone can, they rebounded great as a team, and I think the Bucks did as well. And I think there's just more ways to be a champion than I think just being the best 3-point shooting team. And while the Warriors were that, I think the Bucks and the Lakers to a lesser extent show also, it's like, if you can dominate the glass and you dominate the rim, like, you can win the championship.
Is there any new Blazer stuff to talk about? I feel like not too much has happened on that front.
Yeah, I don't.
Like, there was the quick report where basically they were Neil was like telegraphing that they're just going to run it back. So,
Yeah. I mean, there's the rumors that have been there for weeks about Ben Simmons, and the rumors now that Pascal Siakam as well, that they're out there, which, there's been. I've talked about this before. I don't know if I talked about it on the pod, but there's an iteration of the 3-team trade where you can do Siakam to Portland, Ben Simmons to the Raptors, and CJ to the Sixers. But
we both know that's not going to happen because Neil's never going to trade CJ.
Right. And also, from what we hear, the Sixers don't want to trade Ben Simmons unless they're going to get Damian Lillard. So,
well, tonight Shams reported that Derek Jones was going to opt into his contract, and I saw a bunch of people on Blazers Twitter talking about how this is great. This is going to give them an extra $9.7 million to play with from as far as like a trade piece. And I'm just sitting there like, are we sure Neil's going to trade Derek Jones Jr.? Are you sure that he doesn't? One of the things he was mad at Terry Stotts about wasn't that he didn't play him enough.
Yeah, and that is very much. I mean, I think it's, if you're looking at it from a positive perspective, like, you're trying to be optimistic. Yes, Derek Jones Jr. opting in is a good thing, because then that's more salary that you can aggregate and get a player or players with bigger salaries.
Does Neil have the vision to do that, though?
No, and I think that's the point that we're getting at, is that no, he does not have the vision, and I don't even think he wants to have the vision, because he wants to keep his job. So I think again, it's the same as it ever was with the Blazers. It would be a welcome surprise if they did anything, but ultimately it seems like they're not going to do anything. And
they'll buy into the second round. They'll, draft the next CJ Ellaby.
Exactly.
They will replace Melo and Cantor with like slightly better defensive players, and that's probably it.
Yeah, Nicholas Batum, maybe like a best case scenario.
Just run it back. Nicholas Batum, Robin Lopez, Wesley Matthews. Just run back the 2015 team.
Yeah, exactly. And it's probably to the point too where it's like you could get those guys back. Maybe it makes Dame happy for a season. It's a little bit like when they signed Steve Blake in LaMarcus's last season with the Blazers in 2014-15.
Yeah.
Where they were just like, yeah, we're going to bring Steve Blake in. And that's going to be the thing. And we were like, okay, like, Steve Blake can barely fucking move. And we're going to do this. Okay, sure. So, I mean, not to say that, I mean, Nicholas Batum would be an upgrade. Like that would be a good move for them. Like as much as I want to talk shit about O'Shea, like
Robin Lopez also an upgrade over Cantor.
Yeah, like that's the depressing part. Is like yes, we can shit on it, but it is also slightly better than where they were. But also every team is getting better, so it's like
they'll be a 7 or 8 seed again, and they'll lose in the first round, and then Neil will trade Dame next offseason and build around CJ like he wants to.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully something else happens, but yeah, that seems like that's the leader in the clubhouse in terms of if you had to bet on anything.
If Eric's gambling corner had the ability to bet on just the general trajectory of a franchise for the next year plus.
Yeah, it would be they're not going to do shit, and then they're going to eventually they're just going to trade Dame next summer. Which is depressing, but is also we have no evidence to believe anything else. So I think that's where we're at right now. But also Gambling Corner was on this a couple weeks ago. I just wanted to give a shout out. Slovenia was 15-1 a week ago. They're now 9-1. So
did you bet them at 15-1?
I did.
How much did you put on it?
I put 25 on. So might bring home a couple hundo on old Slovenia for entertainment purposes only though.
We're not giving you financial advice on this show.
Yeah, Gambling Corner, entertainment purposes only.
I don't even know what gambling is. I've never heard of it.
It's not gambling when I do it. It's investment. Even though that just contradicts.
But not for anybody else. Not for anybody else.
Exactly. Not for anybody else. Just for me.
Do as Erik says, not as he does.
Thank you.
The only real investment that you should be making, we're not going to give you investment advice on this show because we're not a financial show.
We're selling we're selling a product though, which is this podcast.
The one piece of investment advice I want to give you though is to sign up for the Bulls vs. Blazers Patreon either at $3 a month or at $150,000 a month if you want the NFT option.
And it's any episode.
Pick whatever episode you want. The Anti-Fireworks Boys, that's a moment in history. You can have that episode. Just anyone you want. Like our entire back catalog is up for grabs. You can have, for every month that you stay on, what episode, I'm looking at what number episode we are on right now. This is going to be episode number 79. You could pay us $150,000 for 79 months in a row. And you can have all 79 episodes of Bulls vs. Blazers as an NFT eventually by the end of it. Or more. You could just, keep paying us and we will keep giving you these NFTs. If you want to give us that $150,000 a month, that's all it takes.
Yeah. We can definitely mint any episode for you if you give us the $150,000. There's no better deal because there's no other content out there that you can just have like whatever you want, whichever episode of a catalog as an NFT. Nobody else is doing that.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Just like nobody else did a finals reaction pod like we just did, or a Team USA centric pod like we're doing right now. Nobody else is doing that, and nobody else is doing an NFT. No,
nobody else. Also, last Gambling Corner that I will shout out.
Nobody's doing a podcast with gambling picks either. That's just something that is not out there otherwise.
No, very unique coverage here. Shout out to the Serbian 3-on-3 team.
Okay. It's not 3-on-3. It's 3x3. That's how it's officially pronounced.
That's upsetting.
It's terrible, but that's how they pronounce it. Did you watch the Woodstock 99 doc yet? By the way,
no, I have not.
Oh, you got to watch it.
Okay.
There's a couple of parts that I want to highlight. I want to highlight Kid Rock's set, and especially his stage banter. I think that's amusing. And the present day interview with members of the band The Offspring is also amusing.
Okay.
Those are the two parts of that documentary. Maybe you should watch it and we can discuss it at some point.
I'm down with that. We'll do a little comparing notes.
Yeah.
Which I need to give you the book of Can't Knock the Hustle so we can do that for our book club. I know that some of our listeners also got that, which I'm ready to talk about when Sean gets the book.
Get it to me. Give it to me before I go to Vegas, so I can maybe read it on my flight. Because I haven't gotten Mirren's book yet. I don't think it's coming out until like while I'm in Vegas. So,
well, they might have to do some rewrites.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think she might have to like write a new forward or like a new ending for the paperback edition.
Yeah. I think some things changed, which good for her. I mean, I'm sure the pre-orders are only going up for sure.
Oh yeah, like she could not have. You know what's crazy is she announced the book, and this was totally coincidental because like, you know, she and I know each other, like, and so I had known for a while that she was working on this book, but she did not know whether Giannis was going to sign the extension or not back in December. The day that she announced the book as like a pre-order, like put up the link and announced to the public that she was writing the book, was the day that it was within the hour of Giannis signing the extension, and it was totally coincidental.
It means that it was meant to be. The book was meant to happen. So that's pretty amazing. But thank you all for listening. I'm excited to kind of chill out for a minute, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about the draft at all. I'm just gonna watch it happen, and I'm ready to relax a little bit and let the chaos happen and pick it up somewhere after we have a little bit more clarity on what actually is going to happen, because we're not even gonna like everything's gonna look so different.
Yeah, we'll probably, I mean, we might have an episode this weekend for the family just because we want to get a family episode out every week. So we'll probably do that this weekend at some point. And
there will probably be some massive trades, or at least a trade or two.
Maybe Ben Simmons will get traded over like on draft night or something.
Yeah, maybe not massive, but there will be some things that change the landscape of the league on draft night, other than the lottery picks.
Yeah. All right, so we will be back at some point this weekend with a Patreon episode. So shout out to the Patreon family. Thanks for listening.